Following a rough stretch, to say the least, last time out here with the Midwest States Only Challenge, we won the opening game against the Eagles. Was a tough matchup, which we did well. However, in the following games, we didn't particularly do all too well. And really, what we saw was that the offense just felt disjointed. It wasn't playing like it should be, and it's not necessarily anyone's fault. Russel Wilson has had a up and down start. We haven't quite gotten as much out of Jonathan Taylor as we were hoping, but really it's the receiving group that hasn't been playing like we were hoping. Allen Lazard is our leading receiver, receiving much more targets than anyone else. Meanwhile, TJ Hawkinson and Adam Thielen under 20 to this point when they should be our primary targets. Hopefully, with a playbook change, we will fix that. So with 2 games till the trade deadline, we're going to not only be switching our playbook, but our offensive scheme as well. Going from a multiple power offense to a vertical power offense. Hopefully that'll utilize the tight end a little bit more. And switching to New England's playbook, where it is a multiple power, but instead of focusing on the short and intermediate throws, it's a variety. Meaning we should see a little bit more of some down the field attempts and hopefully more for T-Hawk. So as we get into our first game, we will be doing another offensive focused quick sim in this one. Maybe chime in a little bit on the defense later on if it's a close game, as play 1 goes back to Allen Lazard. Now, one quick warning, as obviously recording this prior to editing, if the audio seems off, the in-game audio, apologies. I noticed that in the last video, yesterday's video with the superstar mode. I have a feeling it had something to do with these servers being weird, as everything looks good on this side. So hopefully that remains the case, and a sack around the edge. Did Montez Sweat, and we go 3 and out. And to make matters worse, well, the 49ers drove pretty easily, so now down 7. Again, really just focusing in here on the offense. Want to see if the playbook change elevates the team and we start to see a little bit more connect to how the players should be playing rather than what we've seen. I did double check Russell Wilson's throwing abilities, and actually his best ratings are short and deep. It's the intermediate that he will struggle with, as that one is knocked away from Quintez Cephas. So now trying to not solely focus on anything that includes the intermediate, just opening things up entirely. Maybe we'll see more from Russell as he finds Quintez. This time, they don't give us the first. Definitely didn't appear to be an accurate call from where we were at, but the offense will stay out rather than potentially wasting a challenge flag as Taylor inches out the inches. And at this point, we'll take whatever we can get, whether it's a big gain of a first or a very small gain of a first. It all ends up being the same. Continuing these drives as Taylor shakes off one, ends up getting stacked up by a group of Niners. Not sure if those technically have a name, like crows and the M word that we can't say here on YouTube, but 2nd and 4. Back down the middle, Taylor with a big gain, that time a big first down. And just as his jersey says, 28 rushing yards for him, and it's weird to have a guy wearing 28 here for Minnesota, but it is what it is. It's the number he uses. And technically not retired with the Vikings, though I could see it potentially one day. 2nd and 4. 2 up top, 1 down below. Been more run heavy, which is what we're looking for. Thielen in motion. Gonna go into the interior as there's some time for Wilson to find his guy. It is Quintez Cephas. So still not seeing any targets for some of our best receiving options. T-Hawk, none. Thielen, none. As they do bring a little bit at, we did the halfback screen. Good block, 79 up top. We will edge out the first down. First drive might have been 3 and out, but this one been pretty steady. As we move under a minute left in the first quarter, it's a tight single back set. As we go with Taylor, he's got a little bit of a lane. Take on the safety. A linebacker comes in to help clean up. Gain of 7. And if all goes well, this drive should end in 7. Trips down to the bottom, tight end to Hawkinson, top of the line. Taylor looks like he needs a breather. As we go right back to him, he eats the shoulder of Anzalone. But we'll give him some credit. He's staying out there. Don't like to rotate that running back spot, not the deepest. 3rd and 3, they just bring 4. Wilson squeezes it into T-Hawk. Only one target, but it's a touchdown to level us here. And Russell lasered that one in. But the chase will still continue. Another really solid drive from the Niners. They retake a 7-point lead. On our first run, we pick up 5, leaving us with 5 on second. As we go 2 tight ends towards the top, 1 receiver either side. Wilson dropping back, spinning, throwing, and nearly a pick to Anzalone. So far, he's been all over the field. Need to not see that continually happen with Russell. That spin and then throw, he's been off every single time. As we find T-Hockey picks up the first, but he picks up an injury on the same play. That could greatly affect how this offense runs, or at least how we want it to. Appears to be some form of shoulder injury. Gonna bring in some of the backups, and honestly, I'm not quite too sure who we have as our backups. As Wilson rolls, throws, and sends it out of bounds. A flag is down. And they're gonna get Derek Brown with the late hit on Russell. So we'll take that. Free first down into plus territory. I want to say we have a Dan Arnold as tight end 3, tight end 2. I cannot remember. Hopefully he pops up with a big play. We look for Thielen. First target. It's Anzalone again. As mentioned, he's all over the place. He's now down at Lazard, guarding him man on man. As we have an empty set here, Wilson throws up top and yet again throws it away. Cephas in the area. And just a 6 of 12 start, not ideal. Empty set on 3rd and 10. As it's trips up top, 2 down below, including Taylor, who will have a delayed release. Wilson looking in the intermediate. He finds Thielen. Gonna be a big gain on 3rd, taking us down to the 22. This is where we need our receivers to come through. We don't have anyone higher than an 89 speed, but we have some route running, some decent release. Got to utilize that. As it's lofted, that should be DPI on Samuel. Obviously going for the ball, but made clear early contact. No flag comes in. Guess we're in an NFC Conference Championship here. You know the reference, you know. As Wilson goes late, it is that backup tight end. We'll get the catch, halving the distance. And it's Max Williams. That is correct. Not the fastest, but a well-balanced tight end in terms of blocking and receiving ability. They get a little bit of some pressure. Wilson off the mark. 4th and 5. We'll settle for the field goal. That would end up being a smart decision as the defense finally would get their first stop of the half. An opportunity then with just under a minute and a half before halftime to try to make something happen. As Wilson rolls, he throws out late, a little bit of some late contact. More so just contact to the helmet, which is illegal. No penalty yet again, so not getting some of these calls. Some press coverage on the outside. We're gonna send Lazard down the field here. See if he could get a decent step, or maybe look for a big guy catch. Can't bring it in this time. He had one in the opening week, not able to find it there. 3rd and 10. Opportunity we might waste here if we don't convert. We go the halfback screen, get some blocks. Taylor with a nice juke to the outside, tried to spin back in. Instead he gets pushed out, but we will continue here. As mentioned, we would prefer to have a strong rushing game with a passing game to balance it, but haven't really been able to focus on that so far. As Wilson eventually realizes he stepped by the line, he takes it for a gain of 9. Offense will go hurry up off of it. As we're under a minute, we only have 1 timeout as well. Defense ended up using some. Taylor gets stuck in the backfield. An injury, though, Montez Sweat will give us a little bit of a breather here. He does appear to be okay, just heads to the sideline. But we are able to catch our breath for a big 3rd and 1. Hard count, no one jumps. We got the fullback to help lead the way. Anzalone meets him. We spin off. Taylor gonna pick up a nice gain, and now Sheldon Rankin's also injured as well. Unfortunately, this one appears to be a little bit more serious. He clutches at that knee and will head to the tunnel. 1st and 10 as we're at the 41, sticking with the pistol look. A little bit of a play action roll. We have our guy coming across, but the throw is awful. Lazard has to play a little bit of some defense on that one. Not sure what kind of throw that was from Wilson. His ratings for throwing the run still standing at a decent spot. Couldn't tell with how he threw that one. As again, they only bring 4. Need to play across the middle, and it is underthrown. We'll get the tackle at the 40. 49ers also have a chance at potential field goal before half with their own timeout. However, that field goal would come after halftime, still giving them a touchdown lead as our offense still a little bit, I want to say disjointed, as Derek Brown now injured. 49ers defense experiencing a lot of injuries. And even with that, our offense still yet to move the ball consistently. We had one good drive. That has been about it. 2nd and 9, Wilson spinning, throwing, and throwing it away. Now well under 50% completion, some of which have been throwaways. Some have just been some bad passes. He is 9 of 22. Needing him to step up here as he has to roll. He throws away on 3rd. Would have liked him to try to make something happen downfield or with his legs. Instead, it's another punt. And as we get into the 4th quarter, it's now a 14-point deficit. Offense has not done much in this game. Playbook doesn't quite seem to be affecting things still. We have a really dominant interior of the offensive line, but with that, we're not really being able to rush as much because we keep seeing ourselves put ourselves in passing situations. It's really coming down to our own mistakes, not necessarily great play from the other team. As Wilson scrambles back, he loses 12. His awareness, which maybe ties into that, has dropped down to a 61. Unfortunately, not much in terms of backup options at quarterback. The only other options is Brock Purdy, and he plays for a rival. And with this game now well out of hand, 31-10, we will see our other option in Tommy DeVito. Can he show some sort of promise here? Well, first big play as he finds Taylor out the backfield. It's a gain of 34. And that's probably more yards than we've had combined this second half. If he could come out and show up, well then, honestly, he might earn an opportunity to start a game. T-Hawk back out here as he makes a couple guys miss. He picks up 13. We've missed him since, what, the 2nd quarter? Maybe even late first? 1st and 10 for us as we're down to the 26. DeVito, another open target. Where has this been all game? Though sometimes late on in games, defenses start to give things up, so can't say that this is for sure what we're going to get out of DeVito. But he is showing some real promise here. His guy is getting open for him as well. As he rolls, buys a little bit of time, and throws out the back. Looks like he may have had a couple more opportunities underneath. Took the safest option. 2nd and goal. We bring out the tight ends all up top. As we hand this off, Taylor, a little bit of some hesitation. He had space to the outside. They sealed it. Instead, he cuts underneath and maybe gets a gain of 1. So 3rd and goal, 4-down territory for us here. They bring the blitz, we pick it up, and wide open is Max Williams. A arguably much better drive than what we've seen from Russell Wilson in quite some time. And that even seems to have sparked the defense. They get a stop, and with about 2 minutes, 2 timeouts, we'll get one more look here at Tommy DeVito. 31-17, game still out of hand here, but if he can make some consistent plays, Lazard gets popped by Anzalone. We hit the 2-minute warning. But if he does show signs, then we will get him out there, because at this point, Wilson's going to do nothing but regress. DeVito has the ability to progress, and with no quarterback in this upcoming draft class, we might need to rely a little bit on DeVito. Unfortunately for Sweat, he hits the deck for the 2nd time today and will exit the game. Maybe should have earlier, with us well behind. 1st and 10, it's underthrown. He had T-Hawk. And I do have to say, it seems like we've targeted him a little bit more in this one. So we'll stick with New England's playbook for at least another game here and see if that trend continues. As luckily that is not a fumble. They say the arm was going forward and the ball was swatted backwards. But that definitely could have been a scoop and score for the 49ers. Instead, it's a 3rd and 10. Trips up top. Hawk at the bottom, we go some play action. As we throw it up top, it's Cephas with a 1st down, gain of about 15. Haven't seen as much of him as we had in prior games. And even less of Lazard, so maybe just more balancing out the targets. As DeVito downfield gets jumped. Put a little bit more air on that one, and you might have had the touchdown shot. Instead, it's the stamper on this one. Or that's what they wanted you to think. With just under a minute left, defense picks up another stop. We'll give DeVito one more opportunity as it's out for Thielen. He gets the catch. Just kidding. It is jarred free. But DeVito put that ball in a really good spot. Expect more of Thielen on a play like that. As it's Cephas towards the sideline, gets the catch and gets up out of bounds. Now, I don't want to speak too early, but if you were around here for the Pacific Northwest States Only Challenge, I'm getting similar vibes to Gardner Minshew here, but with DeVito. As we throw, we've got Allen Lazard. Big play bumped out at the 16. He's coming out here and playing like there is nothing to lose, and to be honest, there really isn't anything to lose. We're just going to have a quick change with Cephas. Go with a little bit of a zig to try to draw down that corner. Open things up here for Thielen. It's well covered. But trying to find your best receiver, it's a good shot from DeVito. We change it up. We go with a heavy tight end look. A little bit of a play action roll. As we look for a underneath throw to Thielen, it is well short. So perhaps the throw on the run will be the limiting factor here of DeVito, but still a lot of promise shown in this one. As we look for Lazard, that one was angled towards the sideline. 4th and 10. After getting all the way down here, well, you would sure like to convert. Lazard going to wheel out to the outside, a little bit of some play action, some crossing routes. That gets Lazard open, and he missed the throw. So a little bit of inaccuracy, but a lot of promise with Tommy DeVito. Now, ultimately, that one would finally bring this one to an end. Offense still needing to find their guy, but I think we might give an opportunity to Tommy DeVito in the next game. Give him a full game because he brought a little something extra. Maybe it's because he's wearing the Pastronaut's number. Now, with this surprise development of a quarterback battle, it being week 8 and our first big rivalry game, but we're jumping straight into the Packers game. The defense has not played as well as we would have hoped the last few games as well, so we're going to keep a little bit more of an eye on them as well. Mainly the guys for us on this side. TJ Edwards at linebacker, Mitchell at corner, the rookie, as well as a fellow rookie in Keanu Benton at DT. They have kind of led us this way, and hopefully we see a little bit more from them. We also need a little bit more from some of the guys around them to try to get this defense and just the team in general back right. But right now it's a big game, shucking off and tacking on a few more. Jimmy Ward gets tossed down by Mooney. It's Mitchell that ends up getting the tackle eventually. That's a big gain for the Packers. And it has them down to the 32 as Herbert looks for a little bit of some play action. Throws down and out of bounds. We were getting a little bit of some pressure off the top, and there's been some games where we definitely have brought a lot of pressure as we bring the blitz here. Picked up well, and in fact, they get the running back out the backfield wide open. DeAndre Swift, not a guy you want to leave with space. But with a 1st and 10 at the 16, it gives an empty set for Herbert. We only bring the 4 across the middle, and a first drive touchdown. Packers decimate our defense. Tutu Atwell caps it off. And with such a dominant start from the Packers, can Tommy DeVito lead us back here? 7-0 as we get our first possession underway. He looks to scramble by his time, and he throws it away. So far, not seeing any of our quarterbacks who have mobility look to just tuck and run. Instead, they're just throwing it away. An early 3rd and 10 here for us. Tommy DeVito spins, throws it lofting, and throws it out of bounds. Very similar to what we saw from Russell Wilson. Good news for us, though, the defense vastly improves. They get a 3 and out, so offense has one more opportunity here in the first quarter to try to make something happen. We start with a stretch, a gain of 4 to Jonathan Taylor. If we can get him closer to 100 yards per game, I think our offense will do pretty well. But that doesn't seem to be what the OC thinks as we keep calling passes as we have here. Tommy DeVito, he will throw it out late. Trying to keep himself clean. Did not. No gain. 3rd and 6. It's an empty set here for Tommy. As he's got a clean pocket, a pass across the middle. We find Allen Lazard going to get us down to the 40 before he gets brought down by a pair of Packers defenders. I really think this game is a key point to decide if we will keep around some of our veterans, some of our most older guys who got like maybe 1-2 years left, as that ball inaccurate from Tommy. He's 1 of 6 to start, though at least half of those incomplete passes have simply been throwaways, not necessarily accuracy based. 2nd and 10, we hand it off, a little bit of a draw. Expect Jonathan Taylor to break first contact, doesn't there, drags the defender, picks up 5. That does leave us still needing 5 here on 3rd. We're at the 35, so it's all stacking up here. Unfortunately, we don't have a player on the field who also wears 35. As DeVito throws wobbly out the side, we'll have to settle for a field goal. Or they would actually try to go for it and fail. So now it's the Packers in charge, still up 7. We've got a 0 on our side of the scoreboard, and our defense has to try to keep it from going down 14. And as we hit the end of the first quarter, not a great start here for us. We could use our defense forcing a turnover as Swift looks for some space. He finds it. Going to be a first down, spinning, pushed out at the 15. Well, this team on both sides has a lot of good talent mixed in. We're missing some overall play across the board. Consistent play, really, is the biggest concern with us. One of the young building block guys in Mitchell gets stuck in on that tackle. He's made some plays, couple interceptions for him his rookie year, as it's a quick throw, pinballing around, still going. It's a 1st and goal for Okonkwo. Big player for us in the previous States Only Challenge. 1st and goal at the 3. It's a goal line set. Biggs versus Biggs. As they go fullback dive, pushing on in. 0 resistance there from the left side of our defense. Horvath doubles their advantage. And following a turnover on our next possession, Packers right back inside the 25. Swift with a carry, burst through, down inside the 10. So far, our biggest rivalry game is not going well. Spread empty here for Herbert. He got trips down to the bottom, 2 up top as they're just inside the 9. Pump fake, goes back up top, open target, just not quite playing tight enough. Herbert, a pretty solid quarterback, 10 of 13 on the days they go back to the goal line. Do they hand it back off to Horvath? No, he instead will lead as it's a good stop. 54 Leo Chenal, part of one of our deepest groups on this team. That linebacker core is solid. Swung up top and out of bounds. Defense will hold at the goal line, forcing a 4th and goal. They expect a field goal. So now down by 17. A little under 3.5 minutes left in the first half. Can we come out here and just put together a decent drive? DeVito will look to scramble. He will get down with a gain of 9. A little bit of some hurry up off of it too. Now, one thing I've done before and would consider doing in the future is changing up the QB style, as that one nearly gets jumped. Good job, 21, to drop off of Taylor. As I was saying, did it in the last States Only Challenge with Kenny Pickett, as he does have scrambling ability, switching him to a scrambler archetype. As the ball pops free, I believe the O-lineman Jackson jumped on top of it. Now, he's been a success story, and I'll get back to that once I finally wrap up what I was saying about with the quarterbacks. Both Russell Wilson and DeVito can scramble. It'll just essentially make them more apt to scramble if things open up and there's no open receivers. But as for Jackson, he's taken over for Karras, who was one of our older offensive linemen who was struggling out the gate. And while he's been out there, he's performed very well. Up here for Taylor, who comes back for it. Little shimmy, not gonna break away. 3 Packers defenders dragged him down. But we finally get our 3rd completion here from DeVito. And while we're expecting a lot more from our quarterback play, it's at least a step forward here. Bunch to the right-hand side. Looking for the end zone as we have T-Hawk sliding on in. It's another passing touchdown here for Tommy DeVito. A 2nd of the episode for T-Hawk. With yet again another quick stop here from our defense. Whenever we seem to answer with our offense, it raises what our defense is able to do. We'll look to make something happen here. And that was almost getting Hawkinson destroyed. And not really nearly. He pretty much was. 2nd and 10. We're backed up deep here. We'll look for Taylor on the halfback screen. Going to pick up the first down and get out of bounds. Slight late hit there, no penalty. We are still well away from field goal range. 2 timeouts for us, 44 seconds. Need Tommy to come through in a big way here. Coverage great across the board, though. Coming across, Cephas, he makes a move, cutting back to the outside, trying to stiff arm the wrong defender. We'll get back to the line quickly here, still with 2 timeouts remaining. Just about approaching at least field goal range. Trying to find out where to go. There was a late option. DeVito cuts back in, a timeout called. 9 seconds. We got time for a shot towards the end zone. Possibly call another timeout, and then if we have to, take that field goal. Now we're going to have Hawkinson and Taylor wheel out here. It's going to take a little bit of time to develop, but if Hawk can get the step and tipped away. 4 seconds left. Got to take the points. So McLaughlin out here from about the 43, 53-yarder, dead to center. And as we have crawled our way back into this game, 17-10, we start the second half with possession, and we are driving into plus territory. Thielen just had a catch gain of about 14 to get us to this point. Cephas pushing forward. Does he have the ability to maybe be a running back if we were to bring in some other receiving talent? Having some versatility would not be bad. Vikings known for some receiver/running back hybrids. As there goes Taylor trying to bounce to the outside, caught from behind, leaves 3rd and inches. Only averaging 3.4 yards a carry. No extra backers to help clear the way, but it will be a first down rush for a running back. Oh, he did get smacked down by the interior of that defensive line. Keeping this one going at the 27. Back to a stretch up top. Good little juke there to get a block, though. Great pursuit from 31. They haven't left much extra space for Taylor, and he's going to head to the sideline on this one. Melvin Gordon checking in at running back as he goes with a stretch up top. Not getting by Bobby Okereke whatsoever. Actually, no, check that. Ivan Pace Jr. That's not right. He shouldn't be on that team. Just feels weird. Funny enough that they both have the neck protector as well as the same number. Rolling, Tommy DeVito gonna get the first down. 10-5 diving down, protect the body. First and goal at the 6. I don't know about that spotting. I don't think he dove that early. But he'll take the first down for us here. Goal to go. As Taylor cuts it underneath, we'll pick up about 2. That should have been about where we would have been marked, my opinion-wise at least, on the DeVito scramble. But leaves us 2nd and goal. 2 tight ends down below, including Max Williams. Keep an eye on him to help block. He's definitely a solid one, but instead T-Hawk, gain of about 1.5. Now it definitely was a slow start here for Tommy DeVito, but he's ramped up. Still looking to get back to 50% completion. It's Taylor weak side and stopped Quinn Miners. Shaken up on the play. Hopefully that is nothing big. If it is, that could affect any potential trade we might have made after this game. We'll see an update on that, but to try to draw this thing back closer, McLaughlin gets a second. And the defense will pick up at a direct 3 and out. 3 straight incomplete passes, including a knockaway from Cameron Mitchell. So offense with an opportunity to take a lead with a touchdown. Jonathan Taylor springs forward, picking up the first down. 15 carries for him, only 51 yards. It's been a slow earn, as honestly I'm not even sure who's come in for Quinn Miners. It would be a mid-60s overall guy, I believe, as Taylor breaking again, another nice run. Credit him, gain of 14 on that. And actually, take back what I said about a mid-60s. I believe Karras, the former left tackle, has now shifted down to left guard. So at least not that low of an overall guy, but not necessarily the best run blocker, which is why we've ran the ball to the bottom side the last 2 times, the right side. But we enter the 4th quarter here. 17-13, an opportunity sits in front of us. But can Tommy DeVito deliver? Did well with his opportunity at the latter part of last game. Getting put in and getting sacked here in the 4th quarter of a rivalry, though. That leaves a whole different aspect. With a 3rd and 21, a lot on his shoulders here, a lot on his arm talent as it splits around the edge, a sack. The corner safety, it is corner, Jeremy Chin, goes untouched. With a rinse and repeat, 3 more incomplete passes, 1 knockaway Cameron Mitchell. Offense right back to it. Defense is trying to will us to a comeback win, as that is a throwaway. Tommy DeVito, 9 of 21. Looking very similar to the stats that got Russell Wilson pulled out of the last game, though that's from a much higher overall. They're separated by about 14 points. And we'd expect some hiccups from DeVito, not from Wilson. 3rd and 10, yet again, behind the chains here. We pick up the blitz as well. We go late to T-Hawk, but again, Jeremy Chin is there. Another stop, back over to our defense for hopefully another quick stop for the 3rd time. And this time, we'll watch together. Not an incomplete pass, but loss of 2. We'll take that on first. Then they lose 3. It is 3rd and long. They only get back 3. Defense once again comes through. We'll get the ball at the 25. And unfortunately, Madden did its glitch. I cannot jump in here or control anything. It's solely up to the CPU as we go with a run. I was hoping to have a little bit more rushing here. We've been a little bit pass heavy late on. I'd like to correct that. This offense primarily built to run the ball. A little bit of some passing to supplement as DeVito does not get rid of it. He had the full arm motion. He should have. Instead, a sack for Young, and once again, we're behind the chains on 3rd. 4 of them up top. Hawkinson down below trying to set up a tight end screen, but he's on the ground. Defense, can he do it for a 4th time? And because of that glitch, we will be watching to see if they can. As they start in shotgun, it's 2 receivers down below, 2 tight ends up top. Herbert with the RPO swings it out, and he's going to get by the 1st round of defense. Tutu Atwell picks up 4. Began the game with a touchdown. We need to make sure that they don't find one here. Might be able to manage a field goal, might being the key word. The 2nd and 6, back in shotgun. As they do hand it off this time, Swift shakes off one. He's got a bunch of space. Flag comes in late as Swift dragged down by Mitchell around the 5. But it looks like this one is coming back. Chig Okonkwo caught with the block in the back, makes it 2nd and 3. So it was still a decent gain for him as they hand it back off. Swift nowhere close to the same gain, but about field goal range for him as we approach the 2-minute mark. So no more free time stoppage here. We've got to call timeouts or get them out of bounds, and we definitely can't give up a 1st down. As Swift, patience, it's going to be that 1st down. Inside field goal range for sure. We call our 1st timeout. Whoever loses this game drops to bottom of the division, by the way, and right now it's not in favor of us staying above them. 2nd timeout called, only 1 more remaining with a 2nd and 8. Also due to the glitch, we couldn't put in Russell Wilson even if we wanted to. We'll eventually bring down Swift. They check in a different running back, 27, with a 3rd and 4. It's a heavy set. Fullback to help lead the way. And it's a great set of blocking. And that 1st down seals it. Our first big rivalry game against the Packers did not go how we were hoping. Tommy DeVito did not impress with a full game. And as we reach the trade deadline, we have only managed 2 wins on the season. The first 2 games of the season, and since then we have done nothing but lose. And with the outcome we've seen from today's games, I think at the trade deadline we need to sell, and it's got to be some of these older guys who won't be around long. Now, I personally wouldn't be against trading away Russell Wilson. However, I don't think there's any other backup options we have. We will double check. Kevin Zeitler, we might get 1-2 years, but I think I would rather instead trade Ted Karras, who's already been benched in favor of Jackson. Keep as much of the offensive line intact as good news. No big injury to Quinn Minor, so he's going to be okay. But Jimmy Ward, we've got young guys who could potentially step up at that spot. We could look to trade him, and unfortunately Adam Thielen might as well, as he could retire after this year. Same could Jimmy Ward. They're not going to help us this year because we're definitely not looking like we're making the playoffs. So we might need to make some tough decisions right here, right now. And the first trade has fallen. Russell Wilson lost his job to Tommy DeVito in about 5 quarters of play because they played the same way. The overall did not affect things. Now we are going to bring in Nate Hobbs. That's going to vastly improve our secondary. Additionally, we bring in a 2025 fifth. We give up a 2025 third, and we give them this year's sixth. So we trade around a little bit in the draft, but ultimately, Hobbs is a much better player for this team's future. And the next trade, I feel like actually fits in pretty well for us. We trade away Karras because he lost his starting spot, but the Browns, they wanted to upgrade over a Northern Iowa guy, someone we could use in Trevor Penning. Additionally, we're going to bring in a current 5th and 6th rounder. So we get a younger, developmental backup offensive lineman. I think that is fantastic, plus some extra picks for a guy who was just going to do nothing but regress for us moving forward. I feel like that's a dub. Now, the last piece of the puzzle is Adam Thielen. I don't want to get rid of him, and we might not really be able to. I took a look at the entire rest of the NFL rosters, and, well, there's not really a guy available for us to go after outside of one. A fellow Minnesota player, though not from the same school, Rashad Bateman. He's younger, he's got the speed that this team is lacking at the receiver group. However, Ravens do not want to part with him. And that's also because we don't want to give up too much. They're willing, but it's a steep price. We could give them a current 2 and a future 7, or 2 future 2s and a future 7. But that is a lot to give up with a draft class that is looking possibly good. So as a reminder of what we have to look forward to, no quarterbacks. I did find an option for a new backup. We'll touch on that. There is a running back round 2 to 3. He looks like he could be pretty solid as the true backup of the future, as Melvin Gordon will probably just end up retiring. There are some options at receiver. They're not looking fantastic, and that is a problem because we could use that second round pick for maybe Alfonso Harden, but his skill set is definitely not complete. Arguably, a little bit later on with Kyle Traynor, you have potential for a better receiver, though he's not going to come with as much speed. He's going to look very similar to the rest of that group, and speed is what we're lacking. There is a really solid looking mid-round guard who looks to be a little bit more of a tackle with that pass protector. And then we've got options for the defensive line as well. A good run stopper would not be amiss next to Keanu Benton. Additionally, in a mid-round here, Austin Dowling does have some pretty solid finesse moves, lacking elsewhere, but we could use some help there, pretty light. There's also other options for the outside. Pierre Lynch over at right outside backer, or actually flip that left, and then at right you have Earl Harrison. Some good options. Even more help for the secondary if we need it. So what we do at receiver, we'll have to find out next time. As for where we will leave it, your new starting quarterback is indeed going to be Tommy DeVito with a backup in C.J. Beathard. We're taking a massive hit in overall. Tommy DeVito looked pretty solid out there. And one thing I am considering changing is that balanced quarterback style to be a little bit more of a scrambler. Utilize that 84 speed, and maybe that'll help open things up. The accuracies, they need a lot of work. But he looked just as good as Russell out there with improved awareness. We'll see if this was the best move for us to make. So only a couple games we got through today, but it moves us from 3rd in the division down to 4th. And next time we will probably look to round out the rest of the regular season, season 1, as we are only 2-6, unless we go on a massive streak with Tommy DeVito. Not looking too promising. So again, we'll wrap up next time and we'll make a decision on Thielen, and if we do end up deciding to make a move at receiver, as that group is pretty thin with not a lot of real life options. So let me know your thoughts on that. Make sure you stick around, bear icon on the bottom right, or subscribe down below, and definitely tap that bell icon so you're notified of when these videos go live. This series every Tuesday and Thursday, with the Superstar Mode wrapping up shortly every single Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and of course College Football 25 coming soon. We will see you next time as decisions made to decide the future of this challenge.